So Robert Helenius has tested positive for a banned substance, or if you want to be really technical about it, there was an adverse analytical finding in one of his samples. And this was a sample collected the day before his fight with Anthony Joshua. And Eddie Hearn and the British Boxing Board of Control, according to reports, were not informed of this positive result until yesterday. Frank Warren was recently criticizing Drug Free Sport, which is an organization that Eddie Hearn uses in the United States, for allowing Alicia Baumgardner's sample to sit on the shelf for several days after it was collected before testing it. But it seems that VADA are doing the exact same thing. Eddie Hearn did claim as much a few days ago in a couple of interviews, and this apparently is an example of it, because again, the sample was collected from Robert Helenius the day before the fight, and the test was actually only conducted several days afterwards, and the results were given to Eddie Hearn of the British board yesterday. So, Frank Warren doesn't really have a leg to stand on that particular issue. But this latest positive test with Robert Helenius on a Matchroom show is fueling the fire of people who believe that Matchroom are involved in weaponized PED testing. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying they're involved in weaponized PED testing, but a lot of boxing fans believe that they are. And in fact, Frank Warren was even making inferences about it. He didn't come out and explicitly say it, but when the subject of Alicia Baumgardner and her failed test was brought up, Frank Warren said that she was apparently or allegedly going to leave Matchroom and sign with Jake Paul. Now, why would you bring that up unless you're trying to infer that Matchroom are involved in weaponized PED testing? Frank Warren likes to sue a lot of people, and he's very legally savvy because of the fact he has sued people and been involved in many court cases. So maybe he worded things in such a way that there won't be any legal comeback for Matchroom with what he was trying to infer. But in any event, with regards to this whole concept of weaponized PED testing, obviously there are going to be Matchroom fighters who test positive, and you can't see any advantage for Matchroom in wanting that to happen, such as Conor Benn. But there are other fighters, again, this is not my position, I'm just laying out what boxing fans are saying. There are other fighters such as Alicia Baumgardner, Dylan White, and maybe even Robert Helenius, who there may be some type of, or where should I say, there may be some type of motive on Matchroom's part, potential motive, right, on Matchroom's part, to have them test positive as an insurance policy. So let's take Alicia Baumgardner first. If she really was going to leave and sign with Jake Paul, could it have been a way of sabotaging her plans? Could it have been a way of making an example of her, or spiting her, or making other Matchroom fighters afraid to leave in case something like this happens to them? And in the case of Dylan White and Robert Helenius, could it be an insurance policy as far as if either of them were to beat Anthony Joshua, they could get the result overturned after the fight due to the positive test? You see, this is the idea. I tend to suspect that that's not what's going on. And look, I'm not someone that dismisses the idea that weaponized PED testing happens in boxing. I think it probably has happened at certain points and with certain fighters over the years. Remember, boxing is a global sport. It goes on everywhere, and there are all sorts of dodgy characters involved in it. There are criminal organizations who can easily get to politicians and law enforcement. If you think they can't get to PED testing organizations as well, you're very naive. Okay, so I understand that weaponized PED testing probably is a thing, but I don't think, or at least I don't suspect, it's as prevalent as some boxing fans are making it out to be. And I suspect that Eddie Hearn is probably on the money when he says that the reason so many fighters are testing positive on Matchroom shows is because, according to Hearn, allegedly, right, he claims that there's more testing on Matchroom shows than any other shows. They do more PED testing than any other promoter in the UK or in the United States. That's what he claims. I suspect he's probably right. And so if there are loads of people testing positive on Matchroom shows, isn't that a good thing? Because it shows that the testing is actually working. If you're having shows go ahead and nobody's testing positive, then either there's no testing going on or the testing isn't very good. Because again, so many boxing, but the very same boxing fans who are accusing Matchroom or inferring that Matchroom are involved in weaponized PED testing are the people who will turn around and say all these top fighters are on stuff. Well, if all the fighters are on something, then you should be happy happy that people are getting caught. That shouldn't be a suspicious thing. That should be what you expect when VADA testing's going on. But of course, they will argue that the weaponized PED testing is selective. So they'll have certain people who can get away with taking PEDs and other people who can't get away with it, who get targeted to make sure that they get positive tests. So this is the idea. And again, I'm not dismissing the possibility that this goes on here and there from time to time, but is it really as prevalent as some people are making it out to be? I don't know. I think that with the case of Robert Helenius specifically, he fought the weekend before in, was it Finland or one of those Scandinavian countries? He's from Finland. I think he was born in Sweden but raised in Finland. Was there any PED testing for that particular show for his fight? Because with a lot of lower level fights, there isn't any testing or very minimal testing. So could it be a case that he was on something for the previous fight he had, not believing he'd actually get tested? And then for the Anthony Joshua fight, he obviously was tested and he thought, you know what, let me just do it. Let me just bite the bullet, take the money, because it's unlikely they're going to strip me of take my purse off me. So let me just gamble. I mean, last chance saloon anyway, probably the end of his career. So why not? Is that what happened with Robert Helenius? You guys let me know what you think in the comment section below. Or are you in the camp who believe there's something very fishy going on here with Matchroom and they are involved in weaponized PED testing? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Are you sick and tired of the mainstream mindset? Does the dogmatic conformity and pathological ignorance have you tearing your hair out in frustration? Then don't be alone. Come and join our brotherhood on Patreon. We stand as a beacon of reason against an army of insanity. You'll gain access to my weekly topical podcast where we take more deep dives than Jacques Cousteau on an endless variety of subjects. There's also videos, interviews, live Q&As, as well as a vast back catalogue of previous episodes, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen via the Patreon app or download in high-quality MP3. Connect with myself and hundreds of other members in our Element chat group. There's no contract, no commitment, you can cancel at any time, and it's cheaper than a Mickey D's McMuffin. Just head to my Patreon page via the link below this video and select the tier called the Brotherhood of Reason. I'll see you over there.